Live. Alright, guys, we are here with the Levels of Wrestling Lowdown tonight. We're going to be doing a bit of a Raw reaction. So far tonight, we've got Chris Lamb with us and Paul Swat, who's, he's chilling at work right now, so full respect to the guy for joining us. We're going to, quite simply, talk through Raw last night, giving our opinions and our thoughts, and discussing how fantastic our predictions were from last night. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. We predicted that show like we wrote it.
Spoiler alert, our predictions were spot on.
Spoiler alert, our predictions for the next several weeks are going to be spot on.
It was a Paul Heyman spoiler. That's what it was.
Plenty of Paul Heyman spoilers. So basically, guys, just one at a time, what did you guys think of last night's Raw? We'll start with Chris first, just for the sake of it.
I'd say last night's Raw was definitely an improvement over a lot of Raws. I'd say it was about an 8 out of 10, possibly a 9. You know, there were a lot of things in there that, to me, kind of stood out. I mean, there were a lot of good matches. There were 4 returns in total. There were good segments that weren't even matches. And, yeah, I felt it was a really, really good week.
And what about you, Paul?
I agree. I mean, 8 or 9 out of 10. It just flowed really well, except for too many just their commercial breaks. It was like my only main problem. Where you would have commercial, comeback, intros, then you think we're going to get a match. No, we go right to commercial. That was my only gripe with the entire show. But other than that, it just had a good reset vibe to it. It was one of my favorite Raws so far this year. It was one of the best ones since the night after Mania.
Yeah, I thought very much there was a lot of there was a lot of ways they could have gone last night, and the show itself picked up so well, especially with spoilers for a couple of the returns. There was big pops, there was big moments. It's obviously setting up some good storylines, getting ready for SummerSlam, the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. These guys are going to be spot on. I would have said Raw last night, taking away the second hour, could have been a solid 10 out of 10. But the second hour brought it down just ever so slightly.
It does every show.
I don't know, Vincent Kennedy McMahon would disagree.
I'm so glad I predicted that on Twitter 25 minutes before it happened. McMahon was hilarious.
That was the best segment of the entire show. Anybody who tells me it wasn't is wrong.
I loved that he did this, and Stephanie was like, "What do you think you're doing? That's my dad. You're disgracing this company." See, if you go back 4 years, Triple H and Shawn Michaels were dressed as Shane and Vince, doing the same damn thing.
See, the only problem I have with that entire segment right there was that she sounded like she was telling off a child.
Yeah, a little bit.
She was.
Damien, who do you think you are? And I was like, well, this sounds stupid as hell. If it was Vince McMahon, it'd be, what the hell?
I tell a lie. That wasn't the only problem with it. The second problem was Khali brain chopping him and finishing the match in one punch.
Yeah, okay, good point.
And then having to be told by the referee to raise his hands. He watched the referee for a solid minute after he knocked Sandow over, unsure of what to do.
But more importantly, though, Khali is back.
I'm going to say, more importantly, we predicted the return of Great Khali.
Can we not call him?
I did that as just a joke on Twitter, by Christ.
Can we not call Khali great, please?
Oh.
The only great thing about him is his great lack of knees.
Speaking of which, I have to point out the Sandow Vince McMahon walk.
Oh, it was so good. So good. He got that spot on.
He nailed the entire thing, even from how he walks to the ring, gets in the ring, and when he did the "You're fired," I was like, wow, you do this better than Stephanie.
I actually would have liked it if it had been Vince that came out and spoke to him.
If who came out?
If Vince had came out and spoke to Sandow instead of Stephanie.
I would actually love 100% if he carries on the McMahon gimmick.
Well, yeah. even if they almost play this for the truth and turn him into a serious character after this.
you know what? If anyone's listening and they find out where Raw is by next week, I would like to be able, in
Canada.
this episode, to predict what Sandow's character will be next week.
It's going to be in Canada, right?
Oh, I really
Is
hope.
it in Canada?
Yeah, I think so. I
Oh,
really hope they don't
Yeah,
change.
Bret Hart.
Spoiler: the Mountie.
Oh God.
Oh, no, it will be Bret Hart, I guarantee it. Could you imagine him walking down to Bret Hart's music and everyone just boos the hell out of him?
Just as long as he's not Owen Hart. Ugh.
Oh, no, that would go down too badly.
Bret Hart or
Go down too badly. Well done, sir.
Could you imagine if he came out as the ghost of Owen Hart?
It's terrible.
Ghost of Owen Hart. No, he'd have to come to the Blue Blazer and say that the Blue Blazer lives on in the heart of everyone.
I reckon he should come out as Tyson Kidd and talk about how he's jobbing to everyone at NXT.
I'm going Mountie.
I'm going to go as far and say Wayne Gretzky. For those of you who don't know who Wayne Gretzky is, he's a hockey player from Canada. I honestly think Wayne Gretzky could be a good thing if they're going to do it right. But Bret Hart could be the easy pick.
I honestly say it will either be Bret Hart or a stereotypical Canadian thing, or Justin Bieber.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
If you want to get heel heat, come out as Justin Bieber.
But the issue is that would get more heat than Sandow would naturally.
That would be fantastic, though. You could hear all the goals in the audience.
Only if we get Bo Dallas coming out telling Justin Bieber to Bo leave.
You can be a real singer. All you have to do is believe.
What did you there's a question. What did you make to Bo Dallas's 60-second silence?
I thought it was good heel heat.
It was brilliant, but the stupid announcers just couldn't keep their mouth shut for 60 seconds and let it play out.
It would have been a good way to get heel heat if the announcers had kept quiet.
It was tremendous.
I thought it was quite funny that the audience actually kind of quietened down for a little minute. And then they kind of realized, like, oh my god, we're actually doing what he says. Stop.
I loved how there were a few attempts to get a boner chant, but nothing really happened.
Yeah, the boner chant needs to become a thing. Right?
I feel that CM Punk chants are a massive thing. We need to get the boner chants going now.
I would take boner chants over CM Punk chants any day.
Well, CM Punk's coming back, so no.
Oh, of course he is.
Spoiler.
Spoiler!
Spoiler.
AJ's back, that means he has to be.
I'm sorry, but the man is going to get bored of watching his wife go to work every week.
You know, I saw this great image. It was a photo of, the CM Punk apologize thing.
Mm-hmm.
They took CM Punk yelling apologize, but it said, AJ, you lied. You said you were going out for milk for the baby. I just thought that was brilliant. But no, I honestly think last night's Raw was really entertaining. I only hope that they try and keep it up next week. Because if the ratings fall next week, they're going to blame it on the fact that there wasn't a return. Last night's ratings went up 7% in the first hour.
By the way, I'd like to point out very quickly, I was right about the whole John Cena, you've won the title 15 times.
Yeah, I think it's funny. John Cena's reaction on the show
Was my reaction.
Yeah, he didn't look happy about it. Like, purposely, he didn't look good. And that's storyline, right? But I watched a video today, put out by 2K and WWE, with John Cena promoting the hell out of being on the front cover. If you're gonna make him look sad on TV, make him look unhappy during a promotion video. Like, it doesn't need to be a 2K promotion video, but if it was going to be promoted by WWE, he should have at least been slightly grumpy about the whole situation.
Yeah. Bit of inconsistency there.
I love this whole blurring the lines, but I think there needs to be a point where WWE take a step and say, remember what we did with the $1 Million Man? we need to do that with stars now. Like Ted DiBiase would be given $1,000 by Vince McMahon just to go out in public and tip waitresses ridiculous amounts of money, like so that he looked like he was that character.
You got to live the gimmick.
Yeah, I think the issue with that is like you look at Undertaker, and Undertaker didn't go to the Hall of Fame, and he didn't go to any of these ceremony things. He rarely does interviews. You look at a guy like Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's using social media. Like instantly, that kind of takes away from the character, in my opinion. I love Bray Wyatt. I'm a huge Bray fan, but I don't think he should be using social media.
See, to me, the only way he should be using social media is perhaps making like videos of like
Yeah,
cult,
he's got to stay in character for it.
yeah, like cult style videos and upload them to YouTube.
Yes, I think we've all seen The Dark Knight, I assume.
Oh, yes.
Right. The video where the Joker has the hostage, and he cuts that kind of, tell me who the Batman is, why do you dress like Batman? That scene is what Bray Wyatt should be doing with a camera whenever he can.
See,
I got to think that they're the only thing that they could think is that that's a little bit too dark for that character.
dark. Yeah.
Which I'm all for. So I mean, hey,
Oh yeah. The darker the better, in my opinion. But I know the WWE don't have that opinion. I mean, it's like where the Ascension got toned down a little.
You said Bray Wyatt there, and it made me think. Last night with the spoilers, with the return of Chris Jericho, basically that promo and the whole lead up to their match, whenever it's going to be, probably SummerSlam, is going to be phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I mean, watching their NXT match, that was a good match, and Bray Wyatt's improved since then. I can't wait to see it.
I just wonder how they're going to go around setting this up as a proper feud. Like, what reason did Wyatt have to attack him, sort of thing?
I think they are going to pull out the cult leader kind of image, and you lead people through the life of rock and roll, and you should not be leading them. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's so easy. I mean, he has so many things that he could target Jericho with. Especially being Moon Goose McQueen on the side. It's going to be pretty easy fodder for Bray.
I wouldn't be surprised to see another reference to Dancing with Stars, the way that Punk made one.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I tell you, if at some point though we don't see Jericho bring up the light bright jacket again, last night where he took it off and threw it aside, I loved that because it almost showed like a new level of Jericho for me.
I think
that was my character before. This is who I am now.
I think we're going to see a very different side of Jericho with the Wyatts, because the way the Wyatts brought it out in Daniel Bryan, or were supposed to. I think we'll see them do something similar with Jericho.
Well, every time Jericho comes back, he tweaks his character every single time. So
that's why.
And this should be no exception. So,
like last night, we kind of saw a rough image. Like he was the rock star Chris Jericho, but he had the enthusiasm of Lionheart Chris Jericho, and I thought that was a great mix.
See, I can't wait to see. We saw Cena get aggressive. It'd be nice to see Jericho kind of not quite turn heel, but that kind of anger out of Jericho.
Yeah, a face with an edge.
Yeah, that's what Jericho would do very well.
And I got to think that after he is done with this feud, because it seems like he's going to be sticking around for quite a while, he'll do something that Cena did not do, and that's like sell effects of this feud even after he's passed through it.
Oh yeah, I think what's going to happen is we are going to see Wyatt fully start to get launched now, and I think hopefully he'll move on and start to work with Cesaro a little.
I would like to see Cesaro.
I would actually like to see Jericho Rusev.
Jericho Rusev could be interesting. But no, on that note, Rusev last night.
Nice segue.
Face Swagger, if they do this correctly, will be just as big and I'm going to say it, will be just as big as Lex Luger was when Lex Luger had the Lex Express.
This could be a very, very good feud, and that's me talking about Swagger. Everyone knows I'm not a fan of Swagger.
The We the People chant last night was so loud, I was almost laughing.
Especially the first ever We Want Swag, Let's Go Swagger chant. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was very, very loud. It was very interesting, though, to see. I loved it.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how Zeb tweaks his character to be a face.
I think Zeb did that quite well last night. I mean,
Right, I agree.
usually he starts cutting his promo on the way to the ring. They had a purpose. They stormed down there, they got in the ring, made sure they had full attention, and then he started doing his thing. And that was just telling it as it is, how he would as his character.
Yeah, I have to admit, they don't really need to change Zeb's character to make him a face. They just need to target it at Rusev and Lana.
I think so long as Zeb doesn't mention immigrants and any kind of racist remarks, they'll get over just fine as faces.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially if they mention Putin and Russia and everything, and they can mention the Cold War, they can mention not really World War II. They can go for lots of things.
All you gotta do is wave a flag, USA a couple times, and we'll be set.
If I forget, it is America. It's not England.
We are lowest common denominator.
Well,
No,
that was
America.
I've ever seen. Usually heel turns are the dramatic and interesting ones, but that one was like incredible.
I'd love to point out, by the way, what I meant by my comment then was America is a very patriotic country. England, not so much. Half the people in England are like, oh, I can't wait to get out of the country. Oh, this country's crap. America's like, yeah, go America.
That's what makes British people British. It's great. We complain. Americans have American pride. They're American. They're American.
America.
America. Fuck yeah. So, thanks for joining, Skeletor. What would you rate last night's Raw out of 10?
It was pretty dang, it was one of the best Raws of the year. I mean, it's probably like 8.5, 9. Alright, that was nuts. All the way through. Except for the Twisted Tea commercial, I guess.
Oh, man, yeah. Do you know what? That's the big step, though, for WWE. Because now they've got an adult drink, right? I'm saying adult lightly. But they've got an adult drink promoting a TV show.
Dude.
I can't hear half of what you're saying because I'm hearing crackles from somebody else.
Okay. I'm saying WWE have came a long way because they've now got an adult drink, and I say adult lightly, promoting a PG show.
Who was that, by the way? Which company?
Twisted Tea.
Yeah, it's just an alcoholic tea flavored thing. But it was super weird because, this role was super weird about that because usually, they showed Orton get busted open. They showed him, bloodied during the match, and they didn't black and white it like they normally do. And they had Dolph Ziggler pointed at a fan and said, "You're damn right." And then they advertised alcohol, and it was very weird.
I think we can expect to see WWE become more edgy now, as I think we're going to start to see Cena possibly winding down after this, hopefully.
I think a reality era might be slowly drifting back to TV14.
I would love to see that.
See, I think TV14 and PG have changed so much now. Because as time goes on, the ratings for PG become a little bit more widespread. Every year, you're allowed to push the boundaries a bit more. And as they keep pushing the boundaries, they're going to stay PG, but as you get more hardcore, they're going to just verge onto over what we know as TV14.
Yep. By the way,
they might still have the rating, but they could feel like TV14 did 10 years ago.
Yes, Skeletor, by the way, your mic's a little crackly. When you're not talking, it makes noise.
That's not his mic. That's him crushing the bones of He-Man.
They.
Crushing the bones of He-Man and super kicking him through a plate glass window.
Dude, tag teams in WWE have come back from everything besides getting kicked through a plain glass window.
As proven from Cameron and Naomi.
Like, freaking Kane attacked Big Show and tried to tear his eyes out, and then they reformed their tag team. But Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels,
No.
done forever. It's the only way to tell somebody you never want to see them again, is to kick them through glass.
I don't know, I think the Shield made their point pretty clearly.
No, they still have the potential to come back
Oh, they
until
will.
Rollins lays a plate of glass down and presses Dean Ambrose's face on it and curb stomps him through it.
I think the only way that you can see someone ever getting worse than a kick through the window is a power bomb through a glass table.
Oh, that'd be rough.
I
That'd be
think
so rough.
that would be a health and safety problem where someone would end up with a piece of glass in their back.
Nah, who cares? Go to TNA and watch it. It happened. Christian went through one.
Christian's crazy, especially back then. He would do whatever.
Let's say, hold up, the man's played a goddamn vampire.
Yeah.
I
Speaking
always
of
forget Edge and Christian were vampires that with Gangrel in like 1996. That's weird to think
That was
about.
one of the best gimmicks.
Yeah, I was watching, literally before we started this, I was watching the build-up to one of the worst Undertaker matches at WrestleMania. I was watching Undertaker versus Boss Man.
Everyone
build-
says,
The build to this was awful, but the segments where they found Boss Man in the car park, Edge and Christian sliding down a car bonnet like snakes and vampires was incredible. Like, they stayed in character the whole time. Like, I haven't seen them change character at all during that kind of era.
It's true, but Big Boss Man Taker is kind of, I don't know, like people put it in like worst matches ever category. I don't think it is. It's bad. It's definitely bad, but like, you know, it's not 100th as bad as any Khali match or Taker versus Giant Gonzalez from WrestleMania 9 or anything like that.
Yeah, there was, I will say as well, it's not as bad as the Kennel from Hell match.
It is not.
Oh, nothing is as bad as that.
No. I think the worst match ever might be Taker versus Giant Gonzalez.
I stand by the JBL Trish tag against Jackie Gata and whoever.
No, I'm going to go back to WCW and say the electric chair match. I can't remember what it was called.
Is that
was
a thing? I have no idea what that is.
Abdullah the Butcher got put in an electric chair in the middle of the ring in a cage match.
This sounds like the dumbest thing.
It was.
You have to check it out. It's so bad.
And when you look at the talent in the match, it makes it even worse because you had Abdullah, Mick Foley, the Steiners, Sting. Yeah, it was sub dog shit.
I
To go with that, all scaffold matches are bad. All of them.
Yes.
It's a terrible idea. They can't work on it. It's too thin to work on.
I saw someone last night suggest a scaffold match, and I was like, no.
No, they're all bad. The only good thing that ever happened on a scaffold was Big Boss Man getting punched in the crotch.
I don't know when Jim Cornette fell off and blew out his knees.
Oh,
That's a good one.
That is good because Boss Man was supposed to catch him.
Yeah.
Didn't get near him.
You want to know the common denominator in all these matches? The Big Boss Man.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh.
He was never a bad worker. He had some really good matches.
Oh,
he
he
did a
did.
lot of stupid bullcrap.
To think though, like he was the forerunner of the Shield though. When you look back at his last run there with WWE, He had the Shield outfit, so he's the godfather of the Shield.
Big Boss Man was kind of like an early Kane, where he was like a good guy, like a good worker and good at talking pretty well, but they kept getting put in stupid, terrible angles.
Yeah,
Like,
for instance, Pepper the dog,
oh,
Big Show's dad, being hung from the cell.
Nails.
oh, Nails, Nails.
Yeah,
Nails.
told you
That
now.
Nails thing, while stupid, could have worked okay if Nails wasn't the worst wrestler who had ever lived.
His 50 different names in WCW.
Oh yeah, they kept switching him because they wanted to call him Big Boss Man, but they couldn't.
Yep,
So he was like the boss or
Yep.
boss. Or,
Yep, the Guardian Angel, Big Bubba Rogers.
Yeah, because he was Big Bubba Rogers back in NWA before he did anything.
Mm-hmm.
But he lost so much weight towards the end of his career. Like, he slimmed down dramatically.
Oh, and he was doing good work too.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler. Like he's an underrated big man.
Oh, for a man his size and how agile he was, yeah.
Sorry, what are we discussing?
Big Boss Man.
Big
How
Boss Man's
cool
greatness.
Big Boss Man was.
I cannot contribute anything to this conversation.
Okay, Chris, if you get the chance, go back and look at the Big Boss Man. Basically, he dressed like the Shield, but worked better. Like, he had the same build as Brodus Clay, but worked like him. So imagine Brodus Clay dressed like Dean Ambrose, working like Kane.
Yeah, he did work a lot like Kane.
Oh,
He
and
worked
his
very
tag team.
safe but good.
But when he was with Akeem, that was such a dominant tag team too.
I see. They were a dominant tag team, but
And they had Slick.
They did have Slick. Slick was awesome, but I do really wish that Akeem was not Akeem, and they had just kept him as one-man gang, because it would have been.
Oh, but that's what made it great, though.
The South Carolinian white dude named Akeem.
Yeah, that was different.
It would have been like it's such a cool dynamic if it had been, you know, a dude who's supposed to be a gangster and a dude who's supposed to be a prison guard. Like that's such a good team, not an fake African and a prison guard.
But he got like brainwashed, though. It was like a voodoo ceremony or something.
It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it better that they put like a metal trash can down in like an empty street and said that they were in Africa.
Yeah, that was bad. I'm not gonna lie. I watched that segment back not that long ago, and I would honestly rather go through a Rey Mysterio versus the Cali knees on a pole match. That's right. You shaved your head, Rensis. Thank you for joining us.
What's up?
Welcome.
Welcome
To Monday Night Raw.
We got off topic of Raw and to start talking about
Yeah.
how rad Big Boss Man was.
Okay, going back to Raw then.
Welcome
Yeah, wow,
to
how did we
Monday
even get there?
Night Raw.
I don't know how we got to Boss Man.
Seeing as how Mark McMahon is here now,
McMahon.
changed his name to Mark Problem.
So you caught it. You
Yeah,
caught
we
my
got
McMahon down.
Sandow's McMahon impression was pretty impressive.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I was expecting it to be really hokey, but he did okay.
Yeah, like on some of the lines, he had it pretty dang good.
The beard with that wig, it just worked for me.
It was pretty funny.
That's what you got.
I was sad when Kali had to ruin everything.
Spoiler,
That was the
spoiler.
best match Kali ever put on.
It was.
Guys,
Action from bell to bell.
Guys, there's a rule that's been introduced. We have to say spoiler before there's a spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh,
Now I
No
can
one
drop-
cares about
I
that
can
match.
drop off now.
People got all butthurt. So. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
to.
I get that
I-
on like main
I
events,
get
but
butthurt.
not that.
I don't want to be spoiled.
To be fair,
Did people think Sandow was gonna win?
To be fair, I didn't spoil AJ returning.
Thank you for not doing that.
Yeah.
No, you just went and spoiled the other return, Chris. You just spoiled.
Have you guys covered the Ms. Jericho deal?
No, we spoke about it lightly, but we're gonna get there because there's a lot to talk about.
I'd like to talk about the Plan B thing for Triple H.
Okay, the Plan B thing. Let's go there.
There's always a Plan B.
Which is blatantly Lesnar.
You realize that from now on, Rensis, you're just gonna be used as the sound clip guy.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the Plan B. Let's go with that. It's being teased from the look of it that it's Rollins. Do you think it's Rollins or do you think it's something else?
It's Lesnar.
It's going to actually be Lesnar.
B is for Brock.
Yeah.
Because
I think the Plan B this time is Lesnar, but the Plan B is Seth.
well, Seth's always there in case anything fails. He can be like, "Oh, here you go, Seth."
Well, I thought that was Kane's job.
Well, Kane
Seth is-
has no job anymore.
Okay, Kane is Plan B, which makes Brock Lesnar Plan C, which makes Seth Rollins Plan D.
Yep.
So what's Plan A then?
I'll throw this out here. I think
So what's Plan A?
I want all the plans to be alphabetized by the guy's last name, just to make it simple.
Plan A is Orton grows some balls and wins the next match.
Well, Kane right now, if we were just talking about Boss Man, I'm going to say that
it's not going to be Boss Man.
Kane is to the authority right
Th-
now.
this-
Boss
Spoiler:
Man was
Boss Man's
before.
coming back.
Boss Man's
This
back, bro.
This
His death was a work.
Rentis just got muted. What?
Who got muted?
Rensis got muted.
Who muted Rensis? No one mutes Rensis.
Paul Sweat muted Rensis.
Oh shit! What did
I
I
did?
do? Sorry, I'm pushing buttons.
Is what
I've
he
done it.
said.
I broke it.
I'm going to
Oh.
suggest.
Sorry about that.
He remuted
I'm going to finish
Rensis.
this sentence.
I'm
Plan-
the worst.
Plan B to Triple H is. Brock
Sorry,
Lesnar.
man.
I will stab you. I will find you and I will stab you. Plan B to Triple H is Brock Lesnar, but Plan B to Seth Rollins
Damn
is
it.
casting in
They
on
keep
Brock.
muting Rensis.
Did I do it again?
It keeps
Can-
saying
can
that
we
on my
actually-
screen every
Can I
8
actually
seconds.
stop it?
Sorry,
Who's
Paul. I'm not touching anything.
Who's got a party in the background?
There we go. That
Not
may be
more-
got
more
work.
rules
So.
at work.
I'm now going to mute me.
Jeez, I'm gonna have to mute myself. Jeez, I could need to take a time out.
So what's the Plan B to Rollins levels?
Plan B to Rollins is cashing in on Lesnar.
Oh.
No.
Yes, it's going to happen.
Not till Mania. I reckon he will either lose at Mania to Reigns or he'll get cashed in at Mania after he beats Reigns or something like that.
I'd love to see him cash in on Reigns, but hey, I think it needs to be done before then to keep it interesting. Especially with the news that, spoilers, Daniel Bryan might be out for 6 to 12 months.
That's
Even
not a
further-
spoiler.
Yeah, 12 months, Francis. You can mouth that even though you're muted.
You can't spoiler warning reality.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm not even going to say spoiler before we say what's happened on Raw, because
Spoiler,
it's
Emma
happened.
got arrested. It doesn't work, because it's a real life thing that happened.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Oh no, I got caught stealing an iPad case.
If WWE don't release Emma phone cases now, they've won.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to say a minute ago that freaking Kane is to the authority right now,
What,
and
Boss
Boss
Man?
Man was to the corporation.
Pretty much.
Because he gets his ass beat semi-frequently, but he'll jump dudes and wreck dudes when they aren't paying attention.
What do you guys think of the logic, by the way? I'm going to fire Vicky for putting Reigns in the Money in the Bank match, so I'm going to put Reigns in the Fatal 4-Way at Battleground.
I
Gotta
wonder if
love
there's some
wrestling
plan
logic.
behind that.
We,
I wonder if there's some plan behind that.
we've just got our first tweet reaction to the show. Obnoxious CJ Webb says hashtag Big Boss Man was rad.
He was. And I'm glad the first hashtag is a quote from me.
Who
as
is
I've
that
been
again?
carrying this program.
Obnoxious CJ Webb.
Oh, I know Obnoxious CJ Webb. Yeah.
Yeah, I just
So
retweeted.
at Obnoxious CJ Webb, thank you for your feedback.
And thank you for acknowledging the awesomeness that is the Boss Man.
Boss Man was incredible in his day.
I'm looking at a couple of questions that we've actually got on Twitter right now.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Most underrated superstar in WWE right now?
Damien Sandow.
Obnoxious is Mo Hate. I know Mo Hate. There we go.
Okay. So you're saying Sandow rents it.
Sure.
Okay. Skeletor, who do you think is the most underrated superstar in WWE right now?
I don't know if I can call. What do you mean by underrated? Like underrated by the fans or
There's
by
a
like,
bunch
the
of them,
company?
man.
Yeah, I would say there's a big group of them, and personally, my favorite is Santino. That guy can work hard.
I like
Heath
Santino
Slater?
when he's a weird heel. I like Santino a lot when he's a weird heel.
Yeah, Heath Slater's another good shout.
Yeah,
Heath Slater's
I like
great.
Heath Slater a lot.
He's incredibly talented, but I don't think he doesn't have the look to be anything above like low mid card.
Nice.
Santino, when he first debuted in a pair of jeans, and that was it, looks like a boss.
And those red shoes too. He had red shoes.
I wouldn't go to boss level.
Dude, the Milan Miracle was a great segment.
You know who the most underrated is? The Miz.
The Miz, right? Okay, let's hit on this right now before we answer any more questions. God damn it, Ramses. I like The Miz, right? I'm not going to say I like The Miz as a face.
He's a former champ. You're right. He is. He is the most under. I'm going with The Miz.
And he's not acknowledged as that properly. But I think last night was interesting. It was a good way for him to come back, but it made him look bad for a movie promotion. You don't have your action star in a movie be destroyed by the man that's just came back from doing his band.
And then get destroyed by Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. He was there 1 minute, and then Jericho came out, everyone forgot about him. Then
The Wyatt family ate him while the lights were out.
I was going to say, what happened when the lights were out? Did Miz just sort of like vanish into thin air, like evaporate?
No, they ate him. The Wyatts ate him. He's the new stain on Luke Harper's shirt.
The Miz is a great example of, and Curtis Axel was another one when he first got his new music, of a superstar whose music is actually better than the performer himself.
I agree completely at the minute.
Now Axel's got the beautiful sad horn. I love the sad horn so much.
Terrible.
I don't know why. It's fantastic to me. Like I just love that sad horn.
Speaking of people with awesome theme music, I have to say that I'm loving Stardust's moveset.
His moveset, what did that have to do with music, sir?
Because he has awesome music as
He
well.
does
so
have
maybe he's
awesome
got it.
music. It does sound like the backbeat to like a 2001 hip hop song. But
I want Stardust on a pair of roller skates. That's what I want to see.
You want Stardust on a pair of, and Stardust is the weird one? You want Stardust on
I
a
want
pair
to
of
see
roller
him
skates.
on a pair of roller
That's
skates.
not what you
come
said.
down the
You
ring.
said you wanted him on a pair of roller skates.
I want Stardust segments where he's in front of a bad green screen of space.
Yeah, admittedly, his new finisher is called the Dark Matter.
The mic check he did last night. That is.
Do you know what? I like Stardust.
So when does Dusty come out? As
I'm
all
sad to
dressed
say.
up.
He doesn't want to be a part of this, man.
No, but we need to bring out freaking.
We need
Larry-
the American Dweeb, Dusty Rhodes. Come on.
No, we need.
But he would have to
Dusty
come out in
Rhodes.
the face paint, though.
No, but okay, we have this right back. So No, but we have a right Baxel.
He could be splotch dust.
Gosh dang it. We have a right Baxel versus Dust Brothers feud that has like no heat behind it. So what you do is you have them bring out Dusty, and right Baxel beat the hell out of Dusty.
He can't do it.
And we also bring back Larry the Axe Henning. We bring back
No.
Larry the Axe.
I'm just
Dusty certainly can't do it. I don't know if Axe is even like.
He's like
I don't even
80
know.
years old. It's fine.
I've just got to go back to this 1 second and point this out. One of Stardust's finishing moves is called the Cross Star, which used to be obviously the Crossroads. I think it should be Star Cross.
It really should be called the Star Cross.
It really should be called, Star Cross. It would be so much better. And the Star Liner should be called Falling Star.
Good talk, Chris.
Good talk, Chris. Get out of here.
Hey, screw you guys.
You just became the Rory.
I think we need to have a thing where Chris comes out in a new gimmick every week.
Yes. I would do it. I would do it.
And then
Dude, you can. You appeared in the park last week. Now you're at home next week.
and now Chris jobs to rent us every week.
Yeah, well, that happens anyway. So, did you guys see my my YouTube video where I'm imitating Bray Wyatt?
No. Rentis, send that on Twitter, and I will send that to all of my followers right now.
Nah, you're gonna have to find it. I'm not sending it to anybody.
Oh, I'm on that right now.
I should have mentioned it.
You should not have.
Right now, I'm gonna say back to this mission. He was destined for failure last night when he came out dressed as Alberto Del Rio with Zack Ryder's haircut.
Hold on. There we go. It's in the chat.
Is that the video?
That's the video.
Oh, that's so much quicker than I did. Let's see if we can. I'll put this up in a bit. What we'll do is I'll watch it and then I'll screen share it with all of these lovely viewers that we have.
All three of them. Hell yeah.
I'm going to lunch. I'll be back.
Cool, man.
He'll be back after the show.
It is 7 o'clock. How is he going to watch?
Rents this every time is either in a new destination or he's eating.
He
No.
is in a car or a parking lot, like, all the time.
He's not actually going to get food. It's just the fact that we found that video. He's like, nope, I'm gone.
Yeah, that totally seems like he's dodging now. So.
Well, yeah, he said he's going to lunch. It's 7 o'clock at night. He's in the same
This is
time
becoming our
zone
own hardcore 24/7. Ramses has become our own hardcore 24/7 rule.
as me. He's anywhere, anytime.
If you see Ramses in public, don't be afraid to try and pin him.
Yeah, if you see him, you spear him and pin him immediately.
Guys, we're in trouble if he gets pinned this week and we get a lawsuit through for this.
Oh, he says
use
that he
whatever
sells
finisher
too,
you
so.
like.
Oh, he said something. Oh, yup, he sells too. So, there you go. If you're going to spear Ramses, he'll sell it well for you.
Yeah, he'll make you look good doing it, so, alright.
Yeah, either or outside of spearing him, you could, if there's like a bunch of people, you just walk in the crowd with him, ease up next to him, leap in the air, RKO. Done.
Great.
Renter shouldn't mind. We all know he's like Cena. He won't tell you move shit.
Well, also, this is all impossible because nobody can jump high enough to RKO Rensis.
Yeah, he's like 11 foot now.
Yeah.
Every single week. Okay, let's talk about, really tall. We've said really tall, so let's mention the cursed word, Ali. Why is he back, and what's he gonna do, if anything?
Nothing.
He's gonna be an extra body in the battle.
He's gonna walk carefully.
Yeah, he's gonna eliminate like 2 jobbers no one cares about, and then everyone's gonna gang up on him on the IC title battle royal.
Or
And he'll
someone,
probably be gone again.
or someone like Ambrose, Rollins, etc. will eliminate him.
Oh, Cesaro's gonna pick him up and throw him over the
Yeah.
top rope at the battle royal. Okay, I know what's happening. Why they brought him back.
And that's a prediction.
Yep, Cesaro's gonna body slam him or something over the top rope.
Speaking of predictions, how many did we get right last night?
Predictions. I actually think we got about 7 out of 8 of them correct.
We got Cena on the front cover for the 15. We got Rollins teasing a cash in.
Yeah, and then Ambrose stopping him.
Yeah, then Ambrose stopping him, so that's 3. We got the Jericho return. We got
The Miz return.
the Miz return. We got the Carly return.
Yeah, and I thought somebody said
Didn't
AJ as well.
Yeah, I think Beaver said AJ.
Yeah.
I like it as far away from AJ as possible. I said it on Twitter, but I didn't say it.
I think, in fairness, we should probably tell people now that we write the show.
Probably tell people what?
That we write the show.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, we do write this. I've
See-
been working for WWE Creative since like 2011.
See, Lesnar was supposed to turn up last night, but he couldn't. That's the only reason I was wrong.
Yep, you're just Russo doing an accent.
I'm secretly the world's largest Cena fan, and I keep booking him to win non-stop.
You bastard.
Okay. You see, we saw last night, or more to the point, we didn't see last night, was Kofi beating Cesaro during the ad break. Do you think Kofi will do his usual, where they push him and go, "Hey, you're getting a push," and then he won't win?
I think what's
Or do you think they could actually push him this time and let him maybe get close to the belt?
I think they'll either give it to him or let it come down to him and Cesaro in the ring at the Battle Royal.
I think Kofi, every year since he's been in WWE, has actually held one of the mid-card titles or a tag title belt. And a lot of people forget that about him. So, I mean, maybe we see him holding the IC title until Barrett gets back.
I've actually just thought, wouldn't it be interesting if we had someone like, if we had Jericho and Wyatt enter that Battle Royal and one of them 2 wins it?
I don't think
Yeah.
either one of those guys needs that belt.
They don't need it.
I think Cesaro is pretty much the definite dude who's going to be picking up the IC belt.
Yeah, they kind of owe him after they botched the whole Money in the Bank thing. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Cesaro can now be the guy who wins every battle royal.
Cesaro.
yeah, that's his gimmick. He's the new
Yeah.
Andre.
Yeah, he's the new Andre. It was throw just big dudes over the top. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's fine.
I think, do you know what bothered me a little is that they haven't really used Cesaro in a great way recently. They put Kane into the next title match at Battleground. I think that match could have been picked up so much more had they used Cesaro instead.
Yeah, but Cesaro needs to win the IC title. He wasn't. It's better to go in a mid-card match that you're gonna win than to be in the main event match and lose.
No, because you need to put him as an established main eventer before you let him win.
I hate to say, but I think he needs to get away from Paul Heyman.
Yeah, I am not a huge fan of how Paul Heyman has been working with him. Like, they don't work well together.
Yeah, it hasn't worked.
Me and Levels had this little bit of a discussion before you guys came on. What I think will happen is Brock Lesnar will win the title. If Brock Lesnar wins the title, we will see Paul Heyman say Cesaro has been handpicked as a representative of Brock Lesnar, and will represent him on the Monday Night Raws that Lesnar isn't there.
I think Paul Heyman might have lost his ability to just get anybody over. Like, because he failed to do it with Axel, he failed to do it with Ryback.
He didn't. He didn't
Okay,
fail
just-
with Axel. Axel got shut down before he could even hit the ground running.
Axel's in a better place now than he was then. He's better
Yeah.
off in a mid-card.
Axel's a
match.
black hole of charisma. His charisma is so negative.
Okay, sorry, I needed to point this out, or Rancis was going to keep typing things in the box. Basically, he says that Roman needs a mid-card title, feels that next year Bryan should come back and help elevate the IC title, and then he's saying that Heyman hasn't helped anyone in years, let alone Cesaro.
Disagree. Heyman massively helped Punk.
Punk really didn't need him.
He didn't need him, but it helped.
Yeah, but it was nice.
It was nice. I'm not gonna say it wasn't nice. It was real nice.
Oh yeah.
But also, Rybaxel is amazing. Shut your mouth. But
That's your horns.
the sad horn is perfect. And anyone who says otherwise is not.
I'm not giving up on Ryback, so.
No, don't give up on Axel. Rybaxel is the thing, bro.
Oh, I've already given up on Axel.
Axel can work, bro. Axel works well.
Rybaxel is the 3MD of the tag division.
Rybaxel win matches all the time. They're in pay-per-view matches. They're not the friggin' 3MB.
I'd like to point out, Rentis is still right. Ryback has not held a title yet.
Ryback has not held a title, and Curtis Axel had his very weird IC title reign.
Okay, good question.
I want them to have the tag straps at some point.
When do you see Ryback holding a title?
I don't.
I think there will be a period. I think there's gonna I think Rybaxel needs to stay together because if they
In
separate,
TNA.
In GFW.
Alright, that made me laugh. But Rybaxel, I think needs to stay together because if either of them separate, they're gonna get lost in the mid card like they were in late 2013. So I think eventually they'll probably pick up the tag belts. Just through sheer time.
No, I honestly think that the way that the tag division's going at the moment, I think that it's being reborn, and I don't think Ryback's a good way to go.
Well,
Skippy Sheffield in the Impact Zone. Bank on it.
No, it's his name in Impact is Rye Front. Personally,
I want somebody named Skippy.
it's a Rye Front
No, let's
and
hear it.
Joe Axe.
It would be Ryback, but it's got to be spelled with a capital I instead of a Y.
Oh, just like Rhino. Perfect. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's a capital. It just gets the I and it's a K instead of a CK.
There you go then.
RHIBAK.
Yep, Ryback. And if you want to spell it with a CH at the end instead, so you get Ryback.
Put a Z in there for good measure.
Q to begin with.
And then, yeah, it's Axe Joe. It's Axe Joe and Ryback entering the Impact Zone.
Axel Joe, that's it.
His name's Axel Joe. Real name, fake name combo, like they love.
Axel Joe sadly does sound like a TNA wrestler.
He does. That it will be his name if he goes to TNA, and you know it.
Axel Joe is going to be that sounds like a detective show.
Axel Joe.
Yeah.
P.I.
Axel Joe, P.I. He's got got a nice head of hair, drives around in a Corvette solving crimes.
Unfortunately, Curtis Axel does not have a nice head of hair.
Yeah, well, he's obviously not going to play it, but you know.
No, he's got that bold spot, but.
Let's talk.
Dang it! Why am I
about
trash
kind of
talking
TNA
guys I
then.
like? Dang it!
Let's talk about what, sorry?
Yeah, let's discuss the other type of TNA. Last night we saw AJ versus Paige.
All right, guys, I got to take off.
Cool, no bother, man.
It's been fun. See ya.
See ya.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know what?
AJ Page.
Paul. Yeah, we saw
That
AJ.
Paul guy was terrible. I'm so glad he's gone.
No,
No, I like. He's fine. I like. Yeah, he makes me.
Rentis says Paul sucked anyway.
Paul sucked anyway. Get out of here.
Right, okay. Let's stick on topic then. Last night we saw AJ Lee versus Paige. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it was a good way to go, or was it a bit too soon for AJ to win the title?
I think it was a bit too soon. I think the match was far too short.
No, I think that was the point. The point was they had a super short surprise match 2 months ago. They're having a super short match now. And then they'll have a real match this Sunday or whatever.
I'd have given him a good 5-10 minutes and given him a proper 15-minute match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, but I think the point was friggin' Paige got a fluky weird win, and AJ got a fluky weird win, and then they'll get their actual match.
But to me,
I'll agree with Rentis. Rentis said it was stupid.
It really was, dude. Total waste.
I don't think it was a waste.
I think it was.
I think it's like Orton and Christian, where they just pass the belt back and forth and have a cool feud.
I'd just like to point out what needs to happen. What needed to have happened was to have AJ Lee walk out either to Punk's music or in Punk gear.
She got the reaction anyway. She really didn't need to do it.
No, she did not need to do it. No, hell no.
Could you imagine if she'd have walked out to Punk's music?
She still got the reaction anyway.
Dude, Punk died from the choke slam at the Royal Rumble.
I'm calling it, man. Punk will either come back at SummerSlam or just before, or he'll be a surprise Royal Rumble entrant.
Right, there you go. That's a prediction. You heard it. It's going to happen.
If AJ's back, I do not see Punk sitting on his ass for the next however many months.
I think Punk would make a great valet.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if he's only
those boots that AJ keeps wearing. I'm just going to go out there and say this. I think if Punk comes back, I honestly feel he should work from the bottom up.
Yes.
But I know he won't.
I reckon they should start him in the mid-card, possibly with Cesaro or someone.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, you're right. Punk should be jobbing to Heath Slater, is how I feel, honestly.
If Punk comes back, he's the biggest story in the company.
No, Punk comes back, he jobs to Heath Slater every week for 6 months.
Dude, they've been chanting his name in cities across the country for months. If he comes back...
Across the world.
If he comes back, he is the biggest story they have. There's no chance of him starting in the middle.
Rentis, the only reason I've said the reason I've said Cesaro is because you can go off the Paul Heyman relationship with Cesaro at the moment, and you can also build Cesaro as a main event star. Which we've all said that Cesaro is missing an important feud, and that can be what it is.
No, you know what should happen?
The reason I would like that. Oh, sorry.
Punk comes back, makes an open challenge. Rusev comes out, and Rusev makes him tap out in 45 seconds, and then he leaves forever. That is how Punk comes back.
Prediction. It happens.
Prediction. It'll happen. Just wait.
Spoiler.
That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
Yeah, Rentis, what were you going to say?
I think, Cesaro, see, that works because now you have Cesaro with Paul Heyman, and now you've got a Heyman versus Punk feud again, and that could work because they tried the other Heyman guys and they didn't work, but Cesaro, I think, could work in that scenario.
Yeah, I could really see Punk, especially if he comes back and he's got the biggest fan reaction and he's got people behind him, would be a great way to put Cesaro over.
See, my issue is, right, Punk will be the biggest guy in the company, and all of the fans that are complaining at the minute about these guys that have just came in and have been put into the main event, all the ones that complained that Batista was just put into the main event, they're going to be okay with Punk being in the main event. And it kind of feels far too hypocritical for my liking.
It's super hypocritical, and I'm an asshole.
I got to tell you, I've never had a problem with it. I'm the one that said that I had no problem with Batista coming back straight into the main event. My problem was he couldn't work. I had no problem with The Rock coming back into the main event. Absolutely no problem with it. I had no problem with Lesnar coming back and going straight to the main event. I don't have a problem with these guys who have proven themselves to be money makers for everybody in that locker room to step back in to exactly where they were when they left. I don't think that this whole work from the bottom makes any sense, and I don't have any problem with a guy who's going to make money for everybody coming in and being in the main event.
See, my issue there is with Punk. I feel as though Punk's slightly different because everybody else has, Batista left for 2 years. To me, if Punk's left, it also comes down to the reason Punk left. I mean, if he's left because his back injury is too much for him, I mean, the guy's never had more than a 2-month break in his 15-year wrestling career. If that's the reason why, I could understand him coming back straight into the main event. If it's any other reason, like, oh, I was up, then yeah, I agree that he shouldn't be in the main event straight away.
Got 2 words for you: Steve Austin.
Nailed it.
What about Steve Austin?
If Steve Austin and Punk come back, I'll make an exception for the feud.
Well, I'm just saying, if you've got a guy who's obviously going to make money for you, if you bury the hatchet enough for him to be back on TV, you can bury him in a year or 2 once he cools. But when he walks in the door, he is the main guy. He's the one that everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to hear what CM Punk has to say. You can't bury him at the beginning. You can't. The fans won't let you.
No, I'm not saying bury him at the beginning. What I'm saying is have him come in, have him be pushed as the big thing, but also have the feud with Cesaro, which pushes Cesaro to the big thing.
Yeah. See, no. Heath Slater makes him tap out to a sleeper hold in 20 seconds.
No one has tapped out to a sleeper hold in 20 years.
Exactly.
So
You gotta make CM Punk humble again.
So you think Rusev's gonna make him tap? Punk will freak out, demand a second match,
And Heath
then
Slater comes out and dominates him.
nailed it.
Nailed
He's a
it.
one-man man!
Then
At
Then-
that point,
he
Stand
demands
up.
a third
Somehow.
match. And
At that
Khali comes out and strikes him in the head with one chop and pins him in an 8-second match.
and then when that's done, Ryder's gonna come out and gonna dry hump him in the middle of the ring to prove that he should have stayed. But,
Rough Rider! Rough Rider!
Rough Rider! Dude, have you seen Zack Ryder versus Sheamus for the WWE title? The greatest match of all time. Zack Ryder.
Boot!
Zack Ryder went woo woo woo. The bell rang. He took 2 steps forward. Bro kick to head, pinned in under 20 seconds, in his only WWE title match.
now
He
that's
didn't
a
deserve
burial.
that match.
See, that's a burial. That's a real burial.
It was beautiful. I was so happy. I'm so happy. Because Zack
You know what a
Ryder's the
burial
worst.
is? You know what a burial is? Not on TV.
Yeah, what? CM Punk buried himself.
Now. Like, I thought this is really strange, right? Adam Rose last night. We saw the Twisted Tea segment,
Terrible.
right? Yeah, Adam Rose is the guy that they were pushing and gave us so many vignettes and tried to make us care so much about. And then what did they do?
The guys backstage don't like him, though. That's the problem.
They
The problem is he sucks. The problem is he's
does.
awful. That's
He
the real
sucks.
problem. I'm not blaming WWE creative. He's the worst. He's bad in the ring. He's bad on the mic. He sucks. There's
I
nothing you
Don't
can
be
do
a
with him.
lemon,
Guys,
be a
t-
rosebud.
two words for you. Leo Kruger.
He was
No.
the worst. Leo Kruger sucked. His
Right.
matches were terrible.
The thing is, they're giving him Leo Kruger, right? Great example of this, right? He would have been great for NXT, and that's it. He had a great gimmick that they could have used, but could write fuck all stories for. Every story would have had to have been the same. He is essentially a hitman that does nothing because he has to lose matches.
He's a
Therefore,
weird South American mercenary who sucks at wrestling. That was
Yeah.
his gimmick.
And you know what? The partier gimmick is actually not a bad gimmick.
Yeah, the party gimmick is good, and he's very good at portraying it.
No, he's
Unfortunately,
not.
no, I think he's okay at it.
He fulfills it okay, but his matches
he
are
doesn't.
terrible. And
He's
the
terrible
worst.
at it.
He's the worst. I hate
No,
him, and I want him gone.
He's terrible at it. If he was good at it, it would be getting over. Like, he would be getting over, not just the gimmick. When the gimmick gets over more than the performer does, then that
Yeah,
tells
his
you.
music and those people who follow him to the ring are more over than he is.
The-
Yeah.
The bunny is the most over thing about it.
They need to put that bunny and the crowd of guys and the music on somebody who has an ounce of talent in their bodies.
You know who they could put in the bunny suit?
CM Punk.
Who's CM Punk?
Wow, that's actually way better than mine. I think I'm gonna let that ride.
Seriously, could you imagine it? It was CM Punk and 6 months.
I was gonna put the I'm not as good with the NXT names, but the guy who's doing the other side of the hippie gimmick.
Oh, CJ Parker.
Yes, he
Yeah.
could be in the bunny suit and get pissed and then destroy Adam Rose, and then you got a great feud there.
I like CJ Parker's weird heel hippie thing because it works. Because I hate people like that, and so when he was trying to be a face, he was awful. But now that he's a heel, when he tells me about his Prius, I want to stab him, which is the effect they want.
That's how Daniel Bryan got his heel heat.
Yeah, he was a vegan and everyone hated him.
Yeah.
They wanted to throw steak at him.
Being concerned about the environment or other animals means that you're a heel.
I think they missed out on Bryan on one aspect. They could have had him literally complain about the ring and the materials it was made of. Like, could you imagine a vegan telling you that the mat wasn't friendly to the environment because it was made of plastic fibers, not made of natural cotton? Like, I would have wanted to kill him if he had done that.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that's why CJ Parker, even though he's not great in the ring, he's okay. His gimmick is working super well because he's super irritating. Like, incredibly irritating.
Is Corey Graves really done?
Possibly.
He's not really done. They think they're trying to find him a backstage role in case he's really done.
Yeah.
And I think to a lot of people, it's going to be obsessing. Frankly, I like him. That's a lie. I like the gimmick. I don't like him.
Corey Graves is the worst. I've called several people the worst in this conversation, but Corey Graves is horrible.
And amazingly, Kali is worse than all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Kali is actually head of the faction, the worst.
Yeah.
That would be a great faction.
The worst.
The worst.
With Corey Graves, Adam Rose, and Great Khali.
They could be this year's Job Squad. It would be phenomenal.
Throw Zack Ryder in there.
Since we no longer have the three-man band.
Yeah, since we no longer have 3MB, we have Khali, Corey Graves, Adam Rose, and Zack Ryder, the worst.
Nah, please bring back 3MB.
I'm putting that straight onto Twitter as a prediction.
3MB were actually talented and enjoyable.
They were entertaining because Heath made them entertaining.
Well, Drew would do cool stuff in the ring.
Yeah.
And Jinder would stand there.
Why? Why was Jinder all in that?
I don't know, but
no
it was kind of
sense.
great. It was kind of great because it made no sense.
Jinder Mahal was in there because he was the rich guy that thought he could play an instrument.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can see that. But I also love...
That was total BS, but I like it. I like it.
I loved when Jinder... I love when the Matadors were speaking English, but slightly accented English, and Jinder said, "Shut up and speak English." We're in America. I loved that. That was the best.
Not the worst.
No, the worst is Corey Graves and Great Khali.
Stay down.
Ugh.
I'll tell you what was...
I liked him better as a heel. I will say he was better as a heel because he irritated me as a face, and he irritated me as a heel, but that's kind of the point.
Talking about heels and faces, Wyatt actually got a good heel response this week for attacking Jericho.
Yeah, because Jericho's that over that Wyatt.
But the Wyatts were there. Like Harper and Rowan are heels.
Yeah, Harper and Rowan have always gotten their heat. Always. It's just Bray doesn't get his heat. He gets a big pop every time he comes out.
The lights, though, see that entrance? He by far has the best entrance since The Undertaker's, in my opinion. Those lights in the crowd look amazing every time.
See, I'm disappointed because do you remember the Ascension's first entrance music?
Yes.
that was to me, the new kind of Undertaker level entrance, and they changed the music, and I was like, God damn it!
But they also changed the Ascension lineup, so.
Yeah, which was stupid.
Well, I don't know. Bram's doing okay for himself in TNA.
No, but what I mean is, even though they've changed the lineup, they also changed the gimmick. Like they went from being this really dark kind of, we are the gateway to the future, and happiness, laughter, smiles. You hold these things in your heart, but not in ours.
Speaking of the Ascension, they're on the dark match card tonight for main event.
Hi, Amanda.
Oh, she listening in?
Sami Zayn has also been on the dark match, racket. So I feel like those guys will be coming up in the next 6 months.
I can't wait until Zayn hits the main roster.
I can. I don't think they're going to use him properly on the main roster.
Nor me, but Zayn to me is should be where Ziggler is now.
I don't know. They used Daniel Bryan pretty much perfectly for like 4 years. I think they can probably pull off Zayn.
My issue is that Zayn has such a large moveset that fans are going to want to see so much more of it. So they're never going to be content with what he does in the ring. And they'll say that WWE hold him back, which won't be the case.
Well, yeah, the live fans always want to see the same, 5 things that they can get a big pop for. So so he's going to have to, he'll do the Daniel Bryan thing. He'll still wrestle cool matches and do something weird every week or 2 weeks, but he'll have his core 5 things that he goes back to always.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him, like on NXT, he just randomly pulled out that double pump handle powerbomb out of nowhere. That I could see him doing that on live, but not doing it often, being one of those rare things. I mean, it's like when Punk did that power driver as a one-off.
Oh,
Which,
bit of news from today. Santino Marella claims to be approaching the end of his in-ring career.
And he is 42.
He's 35.
Yeah, he's only 35.
Oh, really? I thought he was way older. He's been around for 10 years.
No, he's 35, but he recently opened his own MMA style gym. So he's looking to focus on that for a long time.
Yeah, but he'd also do general manager roles and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I feel like when Kane retires, he needs to be a psychotic GM forever.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think he will. I think he's going to go off and do the horribly strange politician thing he's been doing.
This sounds absolutely horrible, but I reckon Kane will die before it gets to that point.
You really think Kane will stay in the ring that long?
Yeah.
Well, I think Kane will be a dude who's 50 years old and still wrestling because he just works so safe, and he has the second best physique he's ever had.
Can I say he is 47? Keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, he's as old as he's now officially older than the Undertaker was when the Undertaker stopped wrestling, to only do 1 match a year or 2 matches a year.
Keep in mind, wrestlers are all the bumps and everything they take over the years. Their lifespan isn't as long as most people's, and he's 47. That says a lot.
Yeah, I'm right. I think I'm right in saying that Kane is one of the longest running members of the main roster at the moment.
He's been in WWE since 1995.
Yep.
So, he was Isaac Yankem, but, he was still working for WWE for 19 years.
So who's been there longer, Triple H or Kane?
Kane.
And Goldust has been there just as long as Kane.
Yeah, about the same.
Let me just check this.
I think that's. Do you know what? It's an impressive feat. But I'd love to see what his win to loss ratio is, no matter even though it doesn't.
Goldust has been there longer than Kane.
All right.
Goldust first came into WWF in 1990.
Oh, that was a few months though. Yeah. Okay. He showed up and then went to WCW. He immediately went to WCW. I was thinking about when he actually showed up and wrestled
that was
in a couple months.
Yeah, that was the same time as Kane.
If you want to look at it that way, I mean, CM Punk's been around since WrestleMania 22, so.
And Daniel Bryan wrestled on Velocity freaking a decade
AJ
ago.
Styles wrestled on Velocity, so did
Yeah,
Samoa.
like, I'm talking, like, real run. And Kane and Goldust are about the same in terms of real, like, career run in WWE. Yeah, they are like the two longest running dudes, but Kane has never been released from WWE in his 19 years. So Goldust got dumped like 4 times.
I find it weird to think that Punk's been wrestling for 15 years.
Why? He's just the same as every other guy there, then.
Yeah, everybody's
I mean-
been wrestling for like 15 years. It's just not in the WWE.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, but considering he's 35,
Yeah, so he's been wrestling since he was 20. I mean, Drew McIntyre's been wrestling since he was 16.
Yeah, most dudes like usually you start before. Like that's the normal. Like you start before you're 25, unless
Yeah.
you're Curtis Axel who started super late.
Most British wrestlers, I know this for a fact, will start wrestling between the ages of 16 and 20, because anything older than that, most trainers will refuse to take you.
You know, Curtis Axel must have been spurred by his dad getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, because he started so late, like so late, and like he did it in the same year as his dad got inducted. So I feel like that caused him to do it, because he was like 28 when he just entered training.
well, the Miz actually started when he was 23.
Yeah, like that's like semi-normal. Axel started when he was like 28, and that's like so late. So
I was going to say,
late.
yeah, I've actually just pulled that up. Yeah, he was 27 when he started. Bloody hell.
Yeah, that's incredibly late. Like, the only person I can think of who started that late and had a halfway decent career was DDP, who was like 38. DDP was like, at least in his early 30s, which was super, like, ridiculous time to start doing a pro wrestling thing.
Okay, let's have a quick discussion about obviously the announcement of the main event for Battleground. What do you feel for this fatal four-way?
Well, John Cena will win by AA.
Prediction, spoiler.
Yeah, that is actually a spoiler.
Yeah, John Cena's going to win it. We'll probably see a Rollins attempt to cash in and someone screws Rollins. Probably Reigns actually will screw Rollins, or Ambrose will again.
Ambrose will.
We'll see. I don't get what's happening here, because it seems like they want to put Reigns in singles but don't trust him.
They don't trust him because he's bad.
I want to say he's bad.
He has yet to have a halfway decent singles match, so he is very, very green.
Yeah, but the only way you get better is by having good matches, and I think Reigns versus Punk would be a good feud actually if he comes back.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like, people seem to want to put Punk with anybody, but Punk had some weak feuds.
You know why everyone wants to
Super
put...
weak.
You know why people want to put Punk with people? It's because Punk makes a lot of people look better than they are. Take Cena, for example.
Chris, I am going to super kick you through a glass window with Punk at this rate.
No.
Yeah. Screw CM Punk. He doesn't work for the company.
Well,
I'm putting a moratorium on Punk talk.
Okay, let me finish what I was about to say. Cena is an average guy. Punk made him look very good at that Money in the Bank match. That's what Reigns needs, someone to make him look fantastic.
I'd like to counteract this with Cena's an average guy?
In the ring.
I wouldn't say Cena's an average guy. When Cena wants to go, Cena can go. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm no Cena lover, but you watch some of his matches, and they are good because of Cena. They're not good because of the other guy.
Yeah, Cena's had some really knock down, drag out great matches with JBL and Triple H and Batista.
Hell, he had some amazing matches with Umaga.
Yeah, the friggin' Last Man Standing match with Umaga was friggin' nuts.
Okay, I haven't seen that from him recently though.
My boy Umaga. Man, I am so sad about Umaga. Umaga was so good. What I was gonna say is, at a comment. Do you guys think that Jack Swagger is gonna be the guy to end Rusev's undefeated streak?
No, no. I think it's gonna be. I still hold out for Angle, if I'm honest. If they're gonna really push Rusev for 9 months, in the same way as Umaga, 9 months on from WrestleMania is like what?
The Royal
Yeah.
Rumble-ish?
Yeah. So I think Kurt Angle could be that guy.
I think he should go over Angle too.
He could go over Angle.
Yeah, I think he should keep working up the GI Joe sort of roster.
Okay, so
I'd
considering if he goes over Angle, like who could be perceived as the biggest real American since Hulk Hogan?
Cena.
Oh God, no.
No,
God,
yes.
no.
To me,
Dude,
Cena
okay.
to me, Cena needs to put over Rusev, not the other way around.
Rusev, okay, here's the thing. If Jack Swagger beats Rusev at SummerSlam in a match, that will do 1,000,000 times more for Swagger than it will do for Cena, and it won't do anything for Rusev either way. So I hate the idea of putting it on Cena.
I know you do, but Cena is going to be a key performer at WrestleMania, like it or not.
No, but
and
he
he's
can
the
do
biggest.
something else.
And he's the, well, okay. Let me put it to you this way, since we're all marks here, right?
Yeah.
What do you want to see Cena do at Mania?
Put someone over.
I want to see him. I want to see him job to Heath Slater.
See, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm trying to be realistic here. Okay?
I want him to put over someone like Cesaro.
Okay, well, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
And even if it does, it's going to be putting them over like he put over Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. He's going to let him beat him up, toss him around, have a good build, and then lose. Okay.
Wrap it up.
Okay, so and that actually works. Okay, if you continue to build Rusev as this monster from a foreign land, which automatically makes him a heel, right? If you're gonna keep going up that ladder, and a 39 or 45 or whatever old Kurt Angle should not be beating this monster. And Jack Swagger certainly should not be beating this monster.
You've mentioned
It'll help Jack Swagger's career more than it'll help anybody else's.
We're not talking about helping someone else's career. What we're talking about is having good television.
Guys,
and I think what would work the best is you go ahead and you destroy Jack Swagger, as I think is going to happen. Kurt Angle comes up, he gives it a very, very nice run, and then Cena shuts the door at Mania. That's a whole year for you, right there.
To me, Cena needs to put Rusev over hard.
No.
And to me, this is how the WWE should be next year. Reigns at the top with Ambrose and Ziggler as the second and third guys, with Wyatt, Cesaro, and Rusev as the top heels. The mid-card should have Sami Zayn, Kofi Kingston, Swagger, Rollins, all those other people, and you should have Cena, Orton, Kane, etc. putting those people over.
That's like saying Captain America should put the Red Skull over. The Red Skull is going to lose every time. That's the idea.
But I feel like Umaga was at his best once his undefeated streak ended, and he was able to just be a part of stories and do his own And
that's exactly what I'm saying. If you have Rusev build this whole year to this unbeatable monster, and then Cena stops it at Mania, now Rusev is a made man, and he can go and do whatever from then.
Because
can I just point something out here? What I would have happen is I would have Cena lose at Mania. I would have Rusev say that he is an unstoppable Russian force on the Raw after he issues an open challenge. Someone from NXT, like Sami Zayn, comes up, makes Rusev tap or pin, lose it.
Right, okay.
You don't use WrestleMania to put over new talent.
You don't.
That's not what it's for.
You use the day after WrestleMania. That's what it's always been.
The first issue with this is, one, Rusev should never tap. If
No.
Rusev is going to look strong, you don't make him tap, ever.
Okay, make him pinned, yeah.
Right. Second issue with this is, as Rance has said, WrestleMania is built so that the face gets the pop. That is what the crowd pay
Yeah,
for.
that's like almost every match of Mania. There's like
But
one or two heel turns.
The only issue with that is Cena gets that much heat anyways, that if Cena loses, it's the one exception that they can get away with.
No, if they put Cena in a good feud, say they do build Rusev to be the perfect anti-American, and he beats Angle and Swagger, and then or realistically, if you get Swagger and Angle beaten by Rusev, at WrestleMania you get Bryan versus Angle and you get Cena versus Rusev.
Okay, wait, okay, one thing. Okay, it's just so Jack Swagger doesn't get totally ruined from this feud. How about
won't.
Swagger is the first dude to break the accolade? He still loses. He still gets crushed. But he breaks the hold. No, he didn't. He didn't fully get out of it.
Yeah, he tried and then he got put.
No, they made it clear on the day after that they don't consider that to be a break.
Oh.
Well,
But he did. He clearly
kind of did, but they don't consider it. Jack Swagger, they need to at least let Jack Swagger break it and then lose. But at least have him be the guy who broke it the first time.
I honestly think that having Rusev lose to Cena is the most retarded bullshit move you can pull, because Cena does not need to put somebody. Cena does not need these wins anymore. Cena does not need any wins anymore.
Dude, I understand that you're a Cena.
No, it's not. It's not that Cena has a Hall of Fame career already. Cena needs to start putting over other talent, because they're at the same point now. Bryan's out. They've got one face. They've got nothing else they can do because
number one, that's not true. Number two, the issue with that is we as wrestling fans watch a lot of programming. The people who watch WrestleMania don't watch nearly as much as we do. They're not fed up with Cena like we are. So when you're talking about WrestleMania, WrestleMania is designed to put over the biggest name. Even if it's a heel, the biggest name typically wins at WrestleMania. That's the way it's designed.
There are guys who don't watch any wrestling besides WrestleMania. I've noticed.
Cena should not lose at WrestleMania unless it is a clear Hall of Fame absolute legend. He should not be putting over anybody at WrestleMania that's not at his level already.
The whole thing this comes down to is a lot of fans, hardcore fans, hate the overexposure of Cena. Like Rance has said and Skeletor said, a lot of guys that are new or haven't watched wrestling except for WrestleMania see Cena as the guy. And as Rance has said, you don't have Captain America lose to the Red Skull unless you know he's going to get the upper hand in the end. And the end of every WWE year is WrestleMania.
Yep. Everything after basically doesn't count.
What you've said is, what you've actually pointed out, and this is something I'd like to touch on, you've mentioned you don't have Cena put over somebody that's not on his same level. If Rusev makes Kurt Angle tap, a gold medal winning Olympian for the USA, he's already on that level.
Okay, can I say that?
Absolutely not.
If they build him properly, he will be.
Kurt Angle's too old for that to matter that much.
I'm sorry, dude. Rusev is not anywhere near a 15-time champion. He's not even close.
If they build him properly, he will be.
Rusev needs a non-submission finisher.
He will. He will. But when I say somebody on his level, I'm talking The Rock. I'm talking Triple H. I'm talking Randy Orton. I'm talking about people who have had multiple headline pay-per-views alone type of guys. I'm talking about megastars. I'm not talking about somebody that's on the way up.
So how do you build someone like that if you're going to give them a glass ceiling and say that they can't win at Mania?
This is classic 80s.
You've got 11 other pay-per-views to do that.
Yeah, this is 80s Hogan heel booking. You know, when you would build up the heel, make him look like a monster, until they ran into Hogan. You know, look at WrestleMania 2 with King Kong Bundy. You could do the same thing with
WrestleMania
Rusev.
3 with Andre.
Yeah. They would do this, every 6 months or so.
He did that until the
And it
day
worked.
where he finally passed it on to Ultimate Warrior.
Yep, and it worked. And eventually Cena will do the same thing.
He won't, man. That's the problem I've got with him.
No, Cena will, because Cena's one of those guys. He's a company guy. And
Yeah, no doubt.
They will make Cena lose to someone in order to put them over in time. But right now, he doesn't need to. Cena's going to be there for at least another 5 years, like it or not.
Yeah, he's only 37. Think about that.
I mean, Hogan practically didn't lose, like, period, for the first 12 years of his career, pretty much.
It wasn't that long.
It was like 1981 to like 91, so 10 years.
It wasn't even that long.
No, it was less than that.
When Warrior didn't Warrior beat him at like 91?
Hogan was only the top guy for about 7 or 8 years. It seemed like longer because we were probably little tots and it seemed like forever. But Cena has already been the top guy longer than Hogan was ever the top guy.
But
Yeah.
Cena to me needs to start doing what Jericho's doing.
No, dude. You've got one real surefire seller.
Yeah, Jericho is
one
one
guy.
time.
So you need to make two.
Well,
Yeah,
you
they
don't
do
do
need
it
to make
by
two.
having that guy lose at WrestleMania and lose him too.
Right. You just said we need to make another main event star. The key example for this for me would be Triple H. Triple H came from nothing. He came from where Sandow is now to being this big superstar. He was the game within the space of 2.5 years of being where Sandow is now. They can easily do that with anyone on the roster if they damn well choose.
No,
This
they
has
can't.
nothing.
They can tell us all we want, all they want. This is the guy
It's all about
you're
the
gonna cheer
performer.
for. No,
Yeah, it's
you know,
all about the performer.
Yeah, if the guy doesn't have it, if he doesn't get it, and we can tell.
Yep. The guy that it just happened to is Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan came from absolutely nothing, and he's the number 2 guy in the company now.
Yeah.
And if Bryan beat Cena at Mania, nobody would bat an eye. He is at Cena's level almost.
They built him in the off season, which is what you need to do, and then you pass through.
That's what I'm saying they do with Rusev from now
No,
to...
but that would have to be another full year or more. Like, it would probably have
At
to be
least.
like that. Daniel Bryan had 4 years of a career,
He
and then had a
did.
huge 9-10 month build, and then was like got his real title reign and all that.
And he had a huge
Bryan's-
following before
Bryan's
that, and
first-
credibility.
Brian's first run up to Mania, he was the U.S. champion. His second, he was the World Heavyweight champion. His third, he was the Tag Team champion, and now he's the WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
It took 4 years.
But what I'm saying is, if they now started... Let's say they started building Rusev next week, or let's say they started it on Raw. That's a solid 9-month build. If they have him not moves, make Swagger tap, Angle tap, other people tap.
You had Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton at SummerSlam last year. Daniel Bryan, who, like we've already said, had been around 3.5 years at this point. It took 9 months for a guy that had been there for 3.5 years to get to WrestleMania with the titles. Do you really think they'll do that to Rusev in the space of 1 year of him being in the company?
Yeah,
Not-
Umaga had
not-
his
not trying to be
9-10 month build, and then won the IC belt. Like, after he lost his streak, he won the IC belt. He was mid-card, and he was good. That was like the best part of his career, was when he was IC champ. But
They would have to give him like that Brock Lesnar push, and Rusev is no Brock Lesnar.
no, Brock Lesnar's a freak of nature.
If they gave Rusev someone better on the mic, he could be.
No, you knew the moment that you saw Lesnar. So I know that this is an unfair comparison, but the moment that you saw him, you went, "Holy shit, that guy really is the next."
This guy
big
is
thing.
like, friggin' Brock Lesnar was like friggin' 6'3", 6'4",
Yeah, Rusev doesn't
300
even wear
pounds of
shoes.
muscle.
Yeah,
He doesn't
Rusev
even wear
doesn't
shoes.
wear
How can you
shoes.
take a man serious like he doesn't wear
Exactly. All you got to do is throw down some Legos in the ring. Guess what? No one is no-selling that shit.
Rusev 6 foot and 300 pounds of muscle.
Even Cena couldn't no-sell barefoot
not
stepping
sure.
on Legos.
I'm not sure Rusev is even 6 foot.
He is.
No,
Yeah,
no.
he is 6 foot.
He looks
He's
short.
6 foot. He's not 6 foot. He's billed as 6 foot. Big Show at one point was billed as 7'2", 500 pounds. Big Show's only ever been 7 foot. and about 410 pounds at most.
They bump dudes up all the time. Like it's
Key example, Crash Holly. At no point was Crash Holly and Hardcore Holly 500 pounds together.
oh, yeah,
really?
impossible.
Yeah.
Maybe 400 together.
No, hold on, they were super heavyweights.
For the Rusev getting the sky push like Lesnar got, I could see that, but I'm gonna have to agree with the rest of the guys and say I don't think he is quite as impressive as Brock Lesnar.
I think if they make better use of his speed, he will be.
Okay, here's a great point made by obnoxious CJ Webb on Twitter. Hogan's run, January 1984, was up until WrestleMania 6 in 1990. After the loss to Warrior, Hogan was off the road and was only a part-timer only in WWE.
So about 7 years though, right?
Yeah,
All
about
right,
7.
fair enough. I have way overestimated it. I was wrong.
So even if we look at Cena though in that light, Cena has currently been in the company more than 10 years. He's been there more than a decade full time.
When did he beat JBL at Mania?
05, WrestleMania 21. I watched it recently.
So we're at like 9 years with Cena already.
Yeah, we are at 9 years.
Like the closest comparison to someone being on top as long as Cena has is Bruno.
Yep.
Yeah, Bruno was on top for like
Ever.
10, 11, 12, 13, 15 years. And
Yeah.
then had passed
And then
on to
Backlund.
Backlund for
Yeah,
8,
so.
9 years, and then Hogan.
So yeah, so this isn't anything new.
I mean,
Yeah, it's not.
a while back, WWE hit reset, and not just like a reset on the show. This reality era almost reflects eras that they've had before. And as Skeletor said earlier, they're building towards being that edgier product again. So that again shows me this is kind of like a reflection of the era from 1990 to 1997, probably.
They've
So,
seen.
so where are we in that span? I would say that we're closer to the 95-ish kind of a
Yeah, I'd say
part of that span.
94, 95. The tag team states aren't great. We're starting to get an edgier product. You've got guys like Bray Wyatt coming in.
Oh yeah, all the young dudes are coming in.
But
now.
this roster that they have now is 10 times deeper than what they had in 94, 95.
Oh yeah, the early 90s had one of
They had
the worst
nothing.
rosters.
The actual roster is starting to represent to me the late 90s, the early 2000s.
They're throwing
their
good
roster
guys
now
away. We
is
have
so
too
deep.
many good guys. We have
Exactly.
so many good guys that we have like super talented guys who never win. That's how deep the roster is right now.
That's just because it's bad booking, like.
That is not bad. Someone has to be a jobber, and they
Yeah.
just
Somebody's got to lose, man.
Yeah, somebody's gotta
Somebody's
lose.
I'm sorry, but when
somebody's
you
got to clean the toilets.
take,
You can't have dusty
when-
finishes every man.
when you take someone like Ziggler, who's a fan favorite and could quite possibly be like the third biggest face in the company.
Nah.
He was never ever. Even when they pushed him.
I'm not
he was
saying
never gonna be
I'm not
third.
saying he was Skeletor, but I'm saying he could be if they bothered.
Right,
They
Chris.
pushed him before.
The world needs ditch diggers. So.
Right, Chris.
You
Yeah,
need
I-
somebody to clean the toilets.
I've had this conversation on another podcast too, and they were kind of making the same statement. When you see what kind of reaction Ziggler gets away from the big cities and away from the nerve center around Connecticut, New York, the tri-state, he doesn't get those big pops. Like where I am in North Carolina, if you go to a show where Ziggler is, there's not a pop for Dolph Ziggler here.
It's true. I was at Raw in December, and his pop was okay, but it wasn't much.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a Kofi pop, dude.
I'm going
He's a
to-
Mick Carter.
Chris,
going to Raw in.
you and me spoke about this a few times. I personally gathered this opinion at the minute. Ziggler's whole shtick, not his gimmick, but his whole shtick that he does, only works because the crowd get behind him and he loses. Like, the minute he starts getting over, the crowd will cheer for him, but it won't mean as much as it does now.
People
So-
like
so-
him 'cause
so
he's
what
a
you're
talented
saying-
underdog.
What what you're
that's it.
saying is Dolph Ziggler is Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, in some ways.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer only worked because he had like one title reign. Tommy Dreamer only
Which he didn't even want.
See, I completely disagree. I think that Ziggler's one of those guys who... Ziggler reminds me of a mixture of Ambrose and Rollins.
No, not even close.
No, he's
Dude.
Mr. Perfect.
Both of those guys
He
have
does
more
remind me a lot of
charisma
Mr.
in their
Perfect.
left arm than Ziggler's got in his whole body.
Completely disagree.
Ziggler's Mr. Perfect.
Okay, well,
That's
let
it.
me
It's
try
true.
to
It's a
let me
true
try
thing.
let me try to disabuse you of the idea that Ziggler has all this charisma. Dolph Ziggler's 34 years old. He's been on the roster almost as long as Randy Orton. Okay, and what you see from the Shield guys,
I'm almost 34.
all three Shield guys get bigger pops in their second year than Ziggler's gotten anywhere other than the post WrestleMania crowd.
Disagree. He got the biggest pop at Money in the Bank.
That's Boston. That's another big city, and he didn't get a bigger pop than them.
Dolph needs to be
Ambrose, when he came back to the ring, got like this
A
crazy
massive pop.
Partway
think
through the
that
match
was top of the
doesn't.
night.
Partway through the match doesn't count. I'm on about entrance pops as well.
Yeah,
entrance
I'm
pops are
sorry, but
weird.
Ziggler is good. What I want to do is I want to step away from the idea that Ziggler's not good. Ziggler is good. Ziggler is not a number 1, 2, or 3 though. Ziggler is a 4, 5, 6 kind of. He's a mid-card babyface.
I'd say he's a.
His
I'd say
ceiling
he's a
is
3.
not in the top. He's
I'd
not
say
a main event guy.
I'd say he's a 3. He's better than Sheamus is, for Christ's sake, and that's.
No. Sheamus was higher than he was.
No,
No.
Sheamus. Okay,
Sheamus
Sheamus.
is
I will
terrible.
say debatable, but Sheamus, if you actually listen, gets huge ass pops. Which everyone
He
ignores.
does.
People ignore it, but he
Dude,
does.
I'll put it to you.
Yeah, but
this
he's
way.
terrible.
Around here, I
Doesn't
see
matter.
people in WWE T-shirts all the time.
I've never seen anyone wear a Dolph Ziggler t-shirt.
I've never seen a Dolph Ziggler T-shirts, but just about every kid on the playground has either got a Cena, a Sheamus, or a Randy Orton T-shirt. That's what
It's
they got
true.
on.
That is true. Or something Batista related, maybe. I've
Or
seen
Punk
some
and
of them.
Brian. Those are the other two.
Oh, Brian. I've seen a lot of Yes shirts around.
I've seen a lot of Punk shirts around.
Yeah.
Where-
I only see
I've
Punk
never seen a
shirts.
Ziggler shirt in my life.
I've only
Yeah,
seen Punk shirts in the store. I've never seen a kid actually wear it.
Yeah, where I am just now, I've seen 8 or 9 Bad News Barrett tops in about the last week.
Oh yeah, same. I've seen Bad News Barrett shirts all the time.
That is a cool
But
t-shirt.
I want to make it clear I do like Ziggler. I don't
Very
have a problem with
talented dude.
Ziggler. Yeah, and I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's like a scrub or anything. I just think that where he is in the mid card is appropriate for him.
Yeah, I wrote an article maybe 3 months ago now about basically how a lot of people complained about 3MB being jobbers and things like that. WWE needs to have a pecking, right? They need to have a pecking order in order to make anyone look important. Right now, like, your main guy is Cena, as always, and I have no problem with that. But what you're saying about Ziggler and where he is on the card, Ziggler is making a lot of money being that steady-go-lucky guy in the middle of the card, just like Kofi does.
You know,
And
I'm going to quote a children's movie real fast.
Dude, that level's
If
finished.
everybody's special, no
Step-
one is.
Skeletor, that level's finished, man. Don't cut him off.
Sorry.
Right,
I thought he finished. I didn't hear him.
basically, in order to have your mid-card guys look good, they have to beat your jobbers. Dolph Ziggler gets a win every time he faces a jobber. I haven't seen Dolph Ziggler lose to a jobber. Dolph Ziggler loses to guys that are potentially and realistically bigger names than him. And
He's
I
a
have
jobber
to-
to the stars. That's his level.
He's a jobber to the stars, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your mid-card
No,
guys,
absolutely not.
your mid-card guys job to your main event guys, and your main event guys job to your guys that make money. Like, that is the way WWE and all wrestling companies should be running. Like, you build stars by getting fan reactions and natural charisma, like these guys have already said tonight. If you want to make guys stand out, you let them be themselves and shine. But at the same time, there still needs to be an understanding of the pecking order.
But,
I mean, if you had Heath Slater one week come out and beat, say, beat Sheamus, for instance, is anyone really going to believe it when Sheamus then goes on and beats Randy Orton? It would be pointless. Even in WWE, although they ignore the logic sometimes,
Yeah, every
that
once
would
in a
mean
while.
realistically, Heath Slater could go and beat Randy Orton if Sheamus beat him.
Admittedly,
And
we did
that's
have
not how it
Cena.
works.
Admittedly, we did have Cena lose to Tensai though.
Yeah, but Ziggler
They're
has
trying to do something with Tensai, and he didn't lose clean.
There's a difference.
Yeah, but they were building Tensai sort of like they're doing with Rusev now.
They were
They're
trying to do something.
They were trying to create a monster heel, and that's why Cena. And again, they did that at an off pay-per-view. If you tell me that you want to see Rusev beat Cena at Extreme Rules or at Battleground or something like that, I don't have a problem with that. But not at Mania.
I think someone needs to get a big win over Cena.
Eventually,
Well,
that
The
was-
Rock just
No.
did.
No, I mean someone who needs to build themselves.
The Miz did it a couple years before that.
So
eventually,
Not cleanly.
But
eventually,
it doesn't matter. He still won.
Yes, it
he
does.
did. He did win at WrestleMania, which is a pretty big deal. Like, just to be the guy whose music plays and to stand up in front of 80,000 people or whatever is a pretty big deal.
Cena needs to let someone go over on him at Mania clean to build somebody massively.
But
That
they
is what's-
you don't do it at Mania.
You
Okay.
need
If you want to build somebody, you build them on their own, okay? If you want to build a guy, you don't have him go over your number one guy to build a guy. You build him on his own. You don't use Captain America to build somebody.
Yeah, you got to be a made man to beat Cena.
Exactly.
Here's my argument on this right now. Roman Reigns is the guy that's up and coming, and a lot of fans are dying for him to get over. If he goes over now, like right now, and faces Cena, he's not going to go over. That's a fact. Cena will beat him, and it will halt his push. But say 6 months from now, when Reigns has some of that crowd reaction coming behind him, the organic crowd reaction, and they've built him against other main event stars, such as your Sheamus, your Randy Orton, at SummerSlam, or most likely Night of Champions now, Triple H, fans will get more behind him and it'll look more believable. This is a big thing, believability, that he will go and beat Cena, right? When that happens, and I'm not saying it's happening this year, because fuck me if it does, I'll shoot myself in the foot, right? Roman Reigns will not face Cena this year at WrestleMania.
No.
Cesaro will not face Cena this year at WrestleMania. Rusev will not face Cena. Wyatt would possibly face him again, but it would be pointless, and we all know that Wyatt wouldn't go over, because again, there's a pecking order. You're talking about building guys up, Chris, and I have no problem with Chris saying this, because I know Chris knows a lot about this shit now. If he's going to talk about this idea of building stars, and a lot of people on Twitter are doing this, so I'd say good on you all, because we do need to change. There needs to be a slow build. Going straight for a big guy like Cena doesn't work.
This is what I was saying with Rusev going through swagger, angle, etc.
Not enough.
If he goes through Swagger, people won't believe it. They'll just say Swagger got a quick pop moment. That's cool, right? Because none of us really expect that Swagger will go far with this. He could,
Yes.
but we don't expect him.
Yeah.
If he goes through Angle, we'll all be a bit more shocked. Yes, it solidifies him as being a serious contender, but he's not a main event star then. He's a
This
serious
isn't
But
the
then he goes over somebody else at Royal Rumble.
Okay, but
I got
But who?
I got a tweet from Obnoxious CJ, okay? And it says, North Carolina doesn't count. Super casual fans. I was at Raw in Charlotte last time WWE was in town. Dead crowd. Cheered for Cena only. And I responded to that, and I'll share basically what I said.
That was
is
kind of the point.
Casual fans pay the bills. The reason why John Cena can make $10 million a year is because casual fans outnumber marks 10 or 20 to 1.
But this is the
So the-
problem.
so the-
Casual
so-
fans have
so the-
nobody else
so-
to look at.
So the only thing that matters, the only thing that moves the needle, the only thing that draws ratings, the only thing that sells pay-per-views are casuals. So casuals are who you are selling to, especially at Mania.
But
You can build people at the other shows. You can even build people
Rensis.
in the undercard at Mania. But the people who pay the bills expect to see at WrestleMania the showcase of the Immortals, not making new guys. It's just not for that.
But here's the thing. The casual fans have nobody else to look to. because nobody is being built. You
Okay,
need
Yes, they
to
are.
build.
We're building people all the time.
Yeah,
We
Daniel
spent the
Bryan.
we spent the last 2 years building new stars.
Yeah, this isn't 2010 or 2009 where nobody was doing anything if your name wasn't Randy Orton or John Cena.
This is the perfect thing that I was talking about, right? This pecking order idea. You look at guys right now, like Roman Reigns, again, key example. He was with the Shield last year. They were dropped in straight away at their main event guys, and they did face their main event guys, and they kind of solidified themselves as able to do that. But then they slowed down that push, and they faced guys like Kane, who could be argued as a main event guy. They faced him, and then they went down again, certainly in a little aspect, to facing the Wyatts. And all the guys that were in that match came off looking so much better than they would have if the Shield had just gone in and faced, say, a Cena, Randy Orton, and Sheamus in a match. Because frankly, when you've got younger guys facing each other, showing why you should believe in them, I'll believe that more than if they go and take someone out straight away. Building stars at the minute is happening, whether people like it or not. You can see it happening. If they didn't want people to be built, they wouldn't have put Cesaro and Roman Reigns in that Money in the Bank match.
But the problem that we've
And
got
Bray
here,
Wyatt.
the problem we've
And
got
Bray
here
Wyatt.
in talking about your pecking order, yes, you have a pecking order, but when Cena's that far above everybody else, he has to come down.
Okay, realistically,
But he's not though. Look at what you had at Mania. Okay, you had Triple H. He's on Cena's level.
No,
You had Brock Lesnar. He's at Cena's level. You had Undertaker. He's at Cena's level. Last year, you had The Rock. He's at Cena's level. And I understand that you want to get a younger guy to that level. Daniel Bryan just graduated to that level.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan, because of Mania,
they
is
and now
a
he's
guy.
gone.
They had Punk near that level,
Punk
but
was
he
at that
quit. He was close. Okay, he was close.
No,
he
he
was
was there.
getting there, but he quit. Okay, if we still had Punk and Daniel Bryan on the roster now, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
No, we wouldn't.
No, I think we would. In some ways, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, right? If CM Punk hadn't retired in the way he did, I'm not saying retired, sorry, he's on sabbatical. Fucking hell, where I get abused for that. Basically, CM Punk, had he not taken this break, we wouldn't have got Daniel Bryan in that push. He still
Yes,
would
we
have been shame.
No,
Yes,
we
we
wouldn't.
would. Yes, we
No,
would.
he
100% no.
Yes, we would.
Daniel Bryan would have been Sheamus, realistically.
Nope.
Yes, Rentis, it's been confessed by Daniel Bryan himself. He was billed to fight Sheamus. The only reason that Triple H was made available was because Punk walked out.
Nope.
Okay, well,
This is
anyway.
really
Yeah,
They
they would have made the change on the fly. I think.
Yes, they absolutely would have. They were changing how they were going to do Mania up until the week before Mania, and they tweaked even still after that.
Okay, realistically, though, following this view, had, like you're saying, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk still been there just now, the tables would have been completely different, because Daniel Bryan wouldn't have lost the title so quickly. Like, he would still be holding that. So you probably wouldn't have got your Money in the Bank match with the titles, because they wouldn't have had guys like Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, and Cesaro in there. So because,
They would have been in the Money in the Bank where they belong.
Yeah, Cesaro would be Mr. Money in the Bank right now.
But the problem you'd have then is you wouldn't have Cena with the titles. Cena would still be working with people like Wyatt, Cesaro, etc., instead of holding the titles and moving towards Lesnar.
okay, no, but he's still building towards Lesnar. That's going to happen.
Absolutely, Cena and Lesnar can happen with the titles or without the titles.
But what I'm
They're
saying,
both big enough stars that they.
but what I'm saying is, if Bryan was here, Bryan would be the one facing Lesnar, not Cena. Cena would be working with somebody else and helping them build.
I'm not sure about that.
I think it might have still been Brock.
I think it might have still been Brock and Cena.
Yeah, I think it might have been Brock Cena too. Anyway.
No, they were grooming.
You probably would have got Daniel Bryan versus either one of your new guys, like your up-and-coming guys, or you would have got Daniel Bryan versus Kane, like they were suggesting, in a Buried Alive match.
They were doing that for.
But that would have been like Battleground or whatever.
Yeah,
That wouldn't have been SummerSlam.
Okay, well then you would have got Daniel Bryan versus someone of that caliber, and you're still going to get Cena versus Lesnar, because this is the second biggest pay-per-view of the year.
I disagree
We want to
because
make money off this. Lesnar is that name that fans, that casuals, are going to pick up on. Cena is the biggest guy in the company, like it or not, unfortunately, that fans pick up on. I mean, that's just how they go.
but I completely
Money
disagree
guys-
because
money guys make money matches at money pay-per-views.
I completely
That match
disagree because they
wouldn't
were.
happen.
they were grooming Dan. It was an article was released. They were grooming Daniel Bryan for a match with Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Okay, I was like this for a while last year. Everything I read online, I believed fully.
I'm not.
Then I slowly understood that WWE leak articles on purpose and stories.
It wouldn't
So that
surprise me. Seeing that Lesnar would have happened, yes. I don't think it would have happened at SummerSlam. Royal Rumble, perhaps.
No, I think they got to bring Lesnar back earlier than that. And I won't say that it absolutely would not have been Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan, but I think it's more likely that it would have been Cena versus Lesnar.
But even then, you've got a champion working with someone lower down, which is what needs to be happening.
Well,
So-
it seemed like that they were already planting the seeds for Brock going after the belt before the Taker match. So.
Yeah, it's still possible for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, then you have him and Bryan. If Bryan, would have still had the belt, have Lesnar go over him at SummerSlam, and then you rebuild Bryan up until Mania, where it's Rocky 3 all over again.
Yeah. What I'm saying is,
could happen too.
but what I'm saying is, in the meantime, the advantage of that having happened would have been Cena working with another guy and building him up.
Yep, and that's appropriate. While we're in the sort of dog days of the WWE calendar, it's appropriate for Cena to work with guys who aren't quite at the main event level, but not building the Mania. And we got as close to it as we've gotten in his era with him working with Bray Wyatt. Now Bray Wyatt is a special case because he can hold his own. But that's a pretty new guy.
Francis, the only reason I said to have him win at Mania, have Rusev win at Mania, is because it completely solidifies him as a main eventer.
I don't think it does. I think it just hurts Cena. I don't think it does.
I think it would solidify Rusev.
I don't think it would.
You really want to solidify Rusev.
I'll give you a good example of why I don't think that. You look at Fandango's first actual match. He beats a legend at WrestleMania, and it did nothing for him. All it did was hurt Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho. It's only Jericho though. Jericho isn't at the level of. Jericho isn't seen by most fans as the level of Cena. It didn't headline a pay-per-view.
He was for like a year.
If you want to take it in WWE logic, Y2J was the first ever undisputed champion.
Yeah,
So
I think Jericho was at Cena's level for about 6 months or a year.
Yeah, but Jericho takes the back burner now, which is what I'm saying.
No, I don't think that Jericho was ever in Cena's class.
Yeah,
No?
Jericho was a cool number 2 or 3.
Yeah, never. He was never the ace of the promotion.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. By using, let's say if somebody had beat The Rock, it would have solidified them. If someone beat Stone Cold at WrestleMania, it would have solidified them. I'm saying the same thing.
I don't think so.
That's like saying that Roman Reigns or some young guy should have beaten Undertaker for the streak. That's putting undue pressure on someone that you're not guaranteed that they're going to build anything off of.
I'll give you this for an idea. We're talking about building Rusev. I think Rusev, personally, should never be above the CM Punk level, if he ever even gets that far. He should never step above that line, because he should be the number 2 heel in the company as the anti-American. And they need to keep him heel in that role. He should be their equivalent to what the Sheik was.
I won't limit a guy. I think you let the performer reach whatever ceiling he will reach. But what I'm saying is that Rusev needs to show that he can be a top guy before I have him beat my top guy.
Yeah, it's kind of...
He needs to sell his own pay-per-views. He needs to move the needle himself. He needs to prove that he can be the guy without me feeding the top guy to him.
If they build him properly between now and Mania, that could happen.
But what I'm saying is, Mania isn't where you use... Mania's not a proving ground. Mania is just the show.
Yeah, you don't look at this Mania if you want to do that. You plan for 2-3 years down the road.
Right.
I think the key thing to remember here is WWE changes constantly. Like, we're always reminded the landscape is changing.
But it doesn't, because
look at the Bryan history.
Building guys like Rusev or anyone of that caliber will happen slowly, but as Paul and Rensis have just said, you need to book far into the future. And with the state that WWE is in at the moment, they can't afford to do that.
Yeah, they can't even long-term book a summer. I mean, they did it for once, with Brian. They planned plenty ahead, and unfortunately the injury. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, stuff. They can't really plan long term.
You
or
can,
else
and I think
stuff
you have
falls.
to, but you have to be fluid enough to.
Well, I mean,
to,
yeah, you
to
got to be
shift on the
fluid.
fly.
You can't have in stone stuff, is what I meant.
Exactly. Yep.
But you also can't have Cena as the only guy.
But I don't think Cena is the only guy.
I think he is, because even Orton loses that often now. It doesn't feel like Orton is a big guy. It doesn't feel like anybody is as big a guy as Cena in the company, and they need somebody else who is on that level.
Oh, Brian was at that level at Mania.
Yeah,
He
and
was
now
at that level.
Yeah, and now he's not.
But he's that's just because he's injured. It's not
The
because
second
they
he
didn't
comes
build
back,
him.
he's back.
Yeah, it's not that he didn't build him. They did build him. It's just that he got injured.
Yeah, like that was not a preventable thing.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it was, but what I'm saying is they've now got an issue again where Cena's the only guy on the current roster in that position, and we're looking at a year before Brian comes back.
Yeah, I think as a full-time member of the roster, yes, I'll agree. He is the number one guy.
Part-time, yeah, Lesnar's around. Yeah, sure, Lesnar's around as a part-timer, but you need someone full-time on that roster.
To me though,
You've got
putting the belt on Cena is actually an encouraging thing for the younger guys on the roster, where they're not hot-shotting one of them up, in a spot where it's going to be too much too fast.
Like when Jack
especially
Swagger got hot-shotted a few years ago.
I can very much agree with what happened with Punk's first title reign when he got the title and it didn't feel like he had the title. I think I can kind of agree with that in some sense, but at the same time, you can't stick the title on Cena because then you've got nobody at that level working with the younger guys.
He's a transitional guy.
He's a transitional champ. Like,
Yep.
they had to do something quick because
The transitional champ
gone.
is here.
Yeah.
it makes the most sense.
I mean, Vacant, while a great star, you couldn't keep it on him that long, so you had to pass it on.
Did you guys see my Cena versus Vacant thing this afternoon?
yes.
No.
Dude, that was just... It was like 21 votes to none. Vacant is the better superstar than Cena.
Vacant's incredible. I'm not trying to hold back Vacant. But it's been a long time since Vacant hit his peak.
Vacant is still going strong, though. He gets a title reign like just the... Dude, as soon as you take the World Heavyweight Championship off of Vacant, he just picks up the IC just
Yeah,
like
he picked
that.
up the IC belt like 1 week.
I've got a very big question here.
Okay,
Is
well,
Vacant
the last question then.
is Vacant God repackaged?
Nah. Vacant doesn't need any help.
Dude,
The only
Vacant's
thing
career
is
has been crazy.
Vacant will come back with a new haircut and that'll be it.
I mean, Vacant brought the world title to WrestleMania 4 or whatever. This dude's had a crazy career.
I mean, 9 guys walked into Money in the Bank and Vacant didn't leave with the title. We're not going to see him for a long time now.
No, but he picked up the IC belt already. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
He's bringing prestige back to that IC
The
belt.
IC belt. So then the next guy who wins at the Battle Royal, well, they'll make him an even bigger star because they took it off of Vacant.
It's like beating Honky Tonk Man for the IC belt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I mean, if we're talking top guys, it's not true if you say Cena's like the only top guy. Vacant has always been right there, right in the
on that
wings.
note, let's leave the top note for this night. The fact is, new stars are being built. We are going to see it in time, but we have to be patient. Patience is something the IWC we're not great with, I'm not going to lie. But this is going to happen. We just have to stay strong. Stay strong and trust.
Yeah, this
Fearless-
roster is as deep as it's ever been. I mean, there's so much potential, and yeah, but they're fine. The product is fine. Just needs a little tweak with the writing, but as last night's Raw shows, they can put on a great show anytime they want.
Yeah, they can put on top all-time Raws with this roster. They've shown it several times this year.
I just want to see him start doing that with SmackDown, though. Make
Yeah.
SmackDown not a throwaway show.
You know
The
what?
problem with that is
It's tape. I know.
it's taped, and
Yeah.
so you're seeing now an improvement in the main event quality.
Yep.
Because it's live, and I think that that's going to continue.
No,
Oh,
there
the
you
main
go, guys.
event's my favorite show now.
Yeah,
That
main
will be-
event gives mid-carders time to talk and do
Yep.
Oh,
things.
it's great. It's only an hour. It's my favorite.
Right, there you go, guys. That's going to be our topic for the next show. We're going to discuss what could happen with SmackDown and what we would do to help make it better. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. We've been the Levels of Wrestling. You've watched LoWdown. I'm going to put out a big tweet so you guys can make sure to try and follow some of these guys. And we'll be back this time next week with another Raw reaction. Thanks a lot for listening.
Peace out.